So, my wall is blank because I left all my posters in Cape Town. But I got this really cool one last week, Thursday. And that's what this video is going to be about. Not about posters, but about the film that this poster is associated with. And that is right here, The Resurgence of Lubugo. And it's a film directed by my friend, Hannah Allchurch. And just, last week, Thursday, they had a brilliant event where to do the first screening of the movie, and it was really magical. The event was curated by Hannah and Orphée Kashala. I'll probably put their emails in the description if you want to reach out to them. And yeah, it was a beautiful event and a beautiful movie, and the reception was really amazing. I was there as a friend to support, but also as a fellow artist and a lover of film and of the world, really. And I guess I wanted to do this video because I had a lot of amazing conversations thanks to that film. And I think that's really what films are supposed to be about. It's about moving an audience. It's about telling them a story and guiding them to a conversation that might have real impact and real change in the world. And I think, that's really important. And this, in my opinion, was a very successful example of that. And so I wanted to talk about the film and the event and a little bit about the conversations we had, and maybe if you guys find that interesting, then we can talk about it more on the comments in my group, the We're Foof, where you can reach me more personally and have more deeper conversations on it. So getting to the film, The Resurgence of Lubugo, how they describe it is it's a docu-style portrait of Katende Godfrey, a Ugandan designer creating sustainable Afro-futuristic garments. And I think that's a pretty good way to describe the film. It's a 14-minute documentary, but it's about this particular guy who's a friend of Hannah's and who she met some years ago, and was inspired by him and by the work he does, and wanted to just capture who he was and the work he does, and then realized that this was very powerful and it needs to be a real film. So the film tells you the story about how he got into fashion, because that's essentially what he does. He runs this fashion company called igccommunityfashion, and he does it in collaboration with his friend. I forgot his name, but you can reach out to him if you want to know. The story is about how he came from this community in Uganda, and where a lot of young men didn't really know what to do with themselves, because they were living in precarity, but also there wasn't many opportunities to excel in life or to make money and wealth and build wealth for themselves, especially in this post-colonial, neo-colonial world. A lot of our African villages are left in a state where they're disconnected from the wealth, the global wealth of the world, and I think unrightfully so. And a lot of the conversations we have will kind of lead to that later on. But essentially the film sets you, it's this is the environment he's come from, and he, like some of the young men and women in this village, started doing hip-hop ciphers. So they were breakdancing, some were rapping, and all these really cool inspirational ways of spending your time, because it was like either that or other things that maybe we don't celebrate as much. And so his energy, his passion in life started in hip-hop and in breakdance and in movement. But as he grew, he wanted to find something for himself that was unique to him, that he could make a living off of. And eventually he turned to clothes making, and he found what his community called Lubugo, which has different names in different Ugandan communities, but I'm sure across Africa also has different names. In English, we call it bark cloth, and bark cloth is exactly that. It's cloth made from bark, like tree bark. And in the film, they show you the process of like how they cut the bark and like peel it around off the tree, and then they pound it, and it like kind of slowly turns into this like softer cloth, and it's really interesting. And it's why it's so important is that it's a sustainable way to make fashion, to make clothing, because it's natural to the land. First of all, the trees that they take this bark from, and it doesn't kill the tree. Every year you can harvest one long piece of bark from that tree, because it reproduces. And like they said in the movie, or I think afterwards in the conversation, was once a year for 70 years essentially. So that tree for 70 years will keep producing this bark every year, once or twice a year. And there's a particular way of how to harvest it so you don't harm the tree, and then you like cover it up. Like I think they covered it with like banana leaves or like cassava leaves. It was really cool. And he started using that to make really cool fashion and like Afro-futuristic garments. And it was beautiful, and it was like inspired by the hip-hop that he came from, the hip-hop ciphers and all of that. It was inspired by that kind of energy, but it was just he found his craft and he found his material. And he doesn't just use bark cloth today. He uses a lot of different African materials that are local to where he's from, that are sustainable, and don't destroy the planet, and renewable, which I think is a very important word. It's renewable. And he, with his company, he started teaching people in his neighborhood, in his community, how to make their own clothes, and teaching them about the cloth, teaching them, getting them to do fashion ciphers, which I think was really cool, because essentially he came from hip-hop ciphers where they would do dance battles, rap battles, and then he was like, why don't we do that with fashion as well, and inspire people to be more conscious of the clothes that they wear, the material it comes from, and the messages they're sending into the world by wearing those clothes and by making those clothes. So I think that's really important and really beautiful. And the film kind of tells you this element of his life and how it expanded from one place to where he is now, like in terms of his craft, his artistic identity. But the conversation we have afterwards is also very powerful, because a very important part of the film is talking about the bark cloth as a stigmatized material in the community. And in today's world, a lot of people in these communities are afraid of bark cloth because it's been associated with the devil. It's been associated with how they used to bury people by wrapping them in bark cloth, because it had like this mummification factor which would preserve the bodies because they were nomadic and whatever. But I think it's also from the colonial effects of the colonial and capitalist industrial effects of them coming to that these countries and to these communities in Africa and saying, we want to grow this, you guys are going to grow this material. And obviously bark cloth, like cotton and stuff like that, and obviously bark cloth would be a direct contender with that, and it was the community themselves who were experts in using bark cloth and not the colonials. So they, through religion and through other means, they demonized this material so that they could get cotton and other imports to be the main thing that gets grown, and to satisfy their capitalist and colonialist fantasies of how the world should be. And that has caused like major damage generationally, even post colonization, or direct colonization, right? Because we still have faced neo-colonialism, and yeah, it's got to this point where people just stopped using the cloth because they really believed it was like the devil's material and it's like not good, and we should be using cotton like the Westerners and all that stuff. And so this is also important because it's a reclaiming of where he's from and the material that comes from where he's from, and that is one, it's beautiful, that is useful, that is probably better than what we use right now in globally, because it's renewable and it's sustainable and it's accessible to the people. You know, it's not these huge industries who have a strong hold on it and we don't have access to how to make these things. This is like accessible to the community. They can just find their trees, you know, they can plant them, and yeah. So that was really important, and it was like there's this message in the film about this idea and about the idea of embodiment and transfer of energy, because obviously he went from hip-hop, which in America was this kind of movement that grows as a, I guess, way to fight against the precarity that you're facing in an America that's anti-black and that's anti-poor. Hip-hop, that's how hip-hop started. It was a way for people in the urban what do you call it, slums, I guess, in the urban slums to reclaim their power, reclaim their strength, reclaim their inner power, and make something of themselves and express themselves despite what they've been given in life, and what they've been dealt with in the global reality. And so he takes that, so it makes so much sense that this random village in Africa would then be so inspired by that, because the energy and obviously hip hop has changed over decades and it has a different meaning now because of the commercialization and the industrialization of hip hop. But from that time, the original purpose is transferred, like through the energy of what it really is to rap and what it really is to break dance. That energy is transferred, and it transfers to other people who live in situations of precarity where their identities are seen as lesser than the globally. And so of course they would be connected to hip-hop, and then of course that would be an inspiration to then reclaim their identities through bark cloth, for example, and reclaim their ancient wisdom and use it as a modern solution for life. And it's very important, is that idea of embodiment, because it's through the fact that he started dancing, that in his body he was teaching himself how to reclaim himself, that he's then able to make that next step in reclaiming his identity, reclaiming his people's materials, and consistently putting things out there in the world that say yes to who we are, that say yes to our ancient identities that have been lost or stamped on, and so that was very important. And as part of the event, they had a very amazing performance by Seyi Adelekun, and they did a improv movement performance, as in response to the film. And it's hard for me to describe what happened in that room. I don't know if anyone's filmed it, but it was very beautiful, and it was very it just, to me, it spoke to this idea of embodiment and this importance of embodiment, that we have to be what we say we want to see in the world. We have to be it, we have to become it, and we have to emit that energy. And it was very beautiful. And after that, there was a panel discussion with Hannah, my friend, with Katende Godfrey, who is the star of the film, and a fashion designer in the UK, a Ugandan fashion designer who now lives in the UK, but is also an academic, and she studied extensively on the bark cloth and on sustainable fashion. I'm looking for a name, I can't find it. I think, I'll find it and I'll put it in the comments somewhere. But it was a very important conversation, and it was talking about the necessity of sustainability and in our fashion, and of reclaiming African materials to achieve those things, reclaiming the fact that actually we used to be sustainable, we used to be renewable, and we now need to go back to that. We shouldn't see it as simply going back, we should see it as bringing them back to create a better future. So that was important. And one of the questions I had, because obviously there was it wasn't just questions about the material and about the film itself, there was also questions to Hannah, who directed the film, and about how the struggles she went through, and how do you make a film like this? And Hannah's an English person making this film of her friend who's Ugandan, and she talks a bit about her positionality and understanding how to portray blackness and African identities on screen from the position of a person who's white and who's from the UK. And I think it was really fascinating, because I think even a lot of black people in Hollywood sometimes struggle to portray blackness in its full, complex identities, without really clamping down on the fact that it's we're poor, we're struggling, we're not successful, we're the underdogs. And because this film doesn't really do that, it doesn't portray Uganda and this village he's from as just this destitute place, and that they're behind, they're primitive or whatever. Because a lot of people, especially organizations who are pushing charity and all of that, they love this narrative that Africa is poor and we must come and help them and save them, and we're heroes now because look at these poor people who can't help themselves, we need to go and help you, She didn't do that, essentially, with this film, is what I'm saying. And I think what she answered was, she approached the film through the lens of being a friend. Like, I'm a friend to Katende is my friend, and he's a friend that I admire, and that I admire his work, and I admire where he comes from and what he's achieved and what he's about. And I think that is a very key thing that I don't know how many people have picked up on in how to portray people in general, how to portray different cultures, how to portray minorities in a fair light and in a humane light. It's to pull from the humanity you have and the human connection you have with those people, and what that requires is for you to have a human connection with them, because I think a lot of these charity and NGO organizations often have this kind of distant relationship with the communities they try to help. They have this top down where it's like they're kind of a number for them. Like, we want to do this successful project and we want to get funding, and so you guys are our project and we're here to help you. But there isn't this necessarily this relationship that's built where it's like, I'm here to be involved in your community and to be a part of your community and be a part of what you do, you know. And I think that's where they get it wrong, because they're unable to portray these people through a human lens, because they don't have a complex human relationship with them. Whereas Hannah is a friend of this person and is kind of humble enough to go and experience this kind of life that he's lived, and give him a lot of say in what and in how he wants to be portrayed, and trying to understand him, not trying to tell your story of him, just trying to understand him, trying to help him in what he's trying to achieve. And because I think that's another thing these NGOs get wrong, is that they have a plan on what they're going to achieve for this community, but when do they go and ask these communities, what do you guys dream of, what do you guys want to achieve? That's another thing. And I thought that was really impressive, and that was really great thing about the film, about Hannah and how she approached this work. And what the question I wanted to ask that I didn't get to ask in the audience was, we talk about sustainability and about needing to go to a world of renewable materials, renewable energy, sustainable fashion, etc., etc. And then we have these examples of these communities in Africa where actually they're the closest to being able to be sustainable, because the materials there, the knowledge is there if you look for it, and they haven't like destroyed their earth to the same degree that the Western world has. But whenever we approach these communities, we often, and not that this film does this, I think it just in the general zeitgeist of the Western thinking and the global North thinking, and even to the degree the global South thinking, because it's it makes itself, it thinks of its little of itself sometimes, is that have you ever seen a Western like official or person looking up to what someone or what a country in the global South does? You know, we never see it that as, oh, those guys are our goal. We see it, we always see these countries as, these are the developing countries, we're the developed countries. I'm in the UK right now, that's why I'm saying we, but we see it like that, right? But when you think about it, like, we're here in London right now, in one of the capitals of financialization, and financialization, in my opinion, is like on the opposite spectrum of embodiment, because essentially how that works is that you have these guys like, you know, like the Wall Street guys, who are able to make tons of money, working with systems and numbers without having any like connection to the real world effect that they have when they make their bets, when they like do whatever they do financially. Often it's like they're able to do that from behind a camera, behind a laptop in an office, surrounded by other people who are also behind their laptops and doing all these things, and without understanding that like that one thing you did there affected millions of people all the way over there in the world, you know, because we've created this really complex system that takes them away from the embodiment, that takes them away from the weight of the responsibility, and so it allows them to make all these decisions that are not sustainable, that are destructive, but makes them a lot of money, and doesn't reflect back to them what they've actually done, and so they can just get away with it, right? And we're in this place in London trying to talk about sustainability, trying to talk about, oh, we must get to this point of sustainable fashion and using ancient wisdom, and using materials that are renewable. Meanwhile, we're not saying, okay, look at Uganda, look at these guys in Uganda, these guys, they're our goal. We need to become more like them. Like, we celebrate them, maybe. We celebrate that they're also wanting to be sustainable, but we don't say, oh, actually, we should be looking up to these guys. They're doing this better than us, because they are. The truth is, they're miles ahead. If we shift what our values are from the capitalist world and the extract as much as we can profit world to the sustainable renewable world, then Africa is miles ahead everyone else in the world. And we're unable to say that because in the West it's like, no, we need to be seen as the best, you know, we're the exceptionals. And you can talk about American exceptionalism, Western exceptionalism, white exceptionalism, so many things that are hindering us from actually going to this goal of being sustainable and renewable people and actually living in this world, and turning this globe into a healthy way of living. And I think that starts with recognizing the values that we have and changing them, and accepting that we've gone down a path that we no longer agree with, and that we are here now and we need to do the work to get there, you know. And that sometimes comes with acknowledging when other people are there first, and when other people are doing it better, and we have so much to learn from them. And so then the question is, how can people in London start to change their values from like a profit-based ideology, an extraction-based ideology, to a sustainable and renewable ideology? Now, I'm not seeing sustainability as just a checkbox we do in spite of the profit, you know, like, because all these companies, what they do is they try to like greenwash and all these like spend money to like say like, oh, okay, we're gonna buy all this land that counts as like green land, and say that because we've bought all this land and invested money into this, then all the evil stuff and destructive stuff we've done in the world is counterbalanced because we've paid it back somehow. But that's not understanding the point, because the point is we need a value shift. We shouldn't be doing this as a side thing, as a checkbox, whilst we still look to make profit, you know, whilst we look to find other ways to extract. We eliminate this idea of extraction. Like, we can't be extracting. We need to work with materials in ways that we understand are renewable, and it exists. Like, this film is proof that it exists. And yeah, I think that's the question I wanted to ask Hannah on that panel, which I didn't get to, is essentially, how do we now in the Western world, how do we promote these ideas? How do we what's the first step to actual embodiment? Because they're already doing it, you know, they know how to make bark cloth with materials from their own village, you know. But how do we're using materials from London, for example, how do we in London get to their level? How do we get to their level? You know, that's the question. And then like as for like conversations I had after the event, which were really interesting, I talked to a lot of people because there was a lot of other artists there who were watching. There was some academics, and we all kind of it was funny because like we were so inspired by this film, but we actually talked a lot about social media. We talked about Zoran Mandani winning the election in NYC. We talked about like how do we come together as people, and how do we fight what's happening in the world. And because like it's so easy to be so pessimistic because it feels like there's no way for us to fight this. And for me, my answer is that we have to, it's embodiment. The power of embodiment is so important, because I think what social media has done to us is that it's like the idea that I talked about with financialization. It's like you have your world that you're living in, and then you record a video, take a picture, and you post it online, and then people comment online and they like interact with it online, and it's everyone from behind their laptops or behind their phones, behind their screens. But actually, the thing you commented on my post, could you say that to me to my face? Like some people could, some people couldn't. But the point is it's different. It's different to comment on someone's post than to say something to someone in their face. And we're talking about how I can curate my identity online, because first of all, I'll never capture the full complexity of who I am in this earth onto that platform, because that platform is smaller than the earth. It's just incomplete, and it's designed and it's controlled by particular people. And yeah, I can just create my identity that's one sliver of who I am, and then you seeing my profile online, respond to that sliver of who I am, have an idea of who I am based on that sliver, and then talk to me, because in a way that you're talking to that sliver, but then I'm receiving what you're saying to that sliver of who I am as if you're talking to the whole of me, and it just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't resonate in reality. It doesn't resonate with people, and so people feel alone, people feel disconnected, and it's because social media can never replace embodiment. It can never replace being with people in real life, in person, and speaking to them and meeting with them and having events like these where we come together and talk like face to face. And I think that's something that in my opinion is why Zoran Mandani won in New York, because yes, he did have a great social media game, but it's because he went and his his volunteers went and spoke to people en masse in person. How many politicians have you heard walking from one end of the wherever they're running for to the other? And he walked the whole of New York, like he walked the streets. And for me, that is so powerful, because you're saying, I'm here in your world. I am here in your world, and I'm going to meet you. You're not alone. I'm coming to see you. You know, that's what he says when he does that. And you're just as important as I am. You're just as important to be able to meet me. And it's not just behind the screens. And also the second effect is that when the other side, the Cuomo campaign, is like sending all this bullshit, like Islamophobic stuff to portray him in a particular way, it doesn't work, because people have seen him in person and have listened to him, spoken to him in person, and can understand who he is from the complexity that they've seen in real life that you can never get online. And I think we're in this age where we have so much information coming at us and so little context. That's a line I stole from Trevor. We have so much information, so little context. He talks about that in one of his podcasts. But the idea is that, yeah, people can make videos and make AI videos now, deep fakes and all these things. They can take snippets and create a character or caricature of someone, and it'll convince you of something. It'll convince you of what you think is a whole picture. But in reality, if you met that person in real life, you'd have a better picture, and that wouldn't work. What you saw online wouldn't work because you've seen this, and online is giving you this, and so for me, that was another conversation we were having that links to embodiment, that was inspired by this film and by the transfer of energy idea of how, okay, we've seen this big politician now, or small politician, become a big politician by reaching to people in person and making people feel heard and showing a complexity of who he is. And I think we need to start using that in our lives with whatever we're trying to achieve, to be there in person, find ways to use social media to get us back to meeting in person. Because obviously we shouldn't just throw out social media, because I think it has a role to play. It's very important. It's what allowed us to see what's happening across the world sometimes that usually would be blocked. But it's not a replacement for meeting people in person, being connected to people, other people's energy in the place that you live. It's so important that you connect with people where you live, because that's what connects you to this earth. That's what allows you not to be manipulated by people who are like alien to you, who you think are not alien to you because of their way of portraying themselves, but in reality they're living in a completely different world and thinking completely differently to you, and are just able to know what to say to you when you're divided, what to say to you when you're not connected. And so I guess what I'm asking of people is, let's find more ways to find more reasons to come together in person, and let's meet. I'm currently based in the UK, close to London, and in a few weeks I'm traveling to Malaysia. So if anyone of you somehow watches this video and is in KL next month, wants to meet, let me know, or join my group, The Way of Foof, and we can connect. But yeah, I feel we need to push this idea of coming together in person, revisiting our values, and doing real work that isn't just about making money, isn't just about paying the bills or surviving, isn't just about trying to win in life, because I don't believe that concept. We need to find ways to build a better world, for everyone, for ourselves and for everyone, and to bring everyone into that, to make it, because there is a world in which everyone benefits from everyone doing and pursuing their dreams. The question is, are we connected enough to understand how our dreams should be shaped, and how our dreams can contribute to each other, and why we would want to contribute to each other? We have to be connected to have that innate desire to then contribute to each other. And the problem is that we're so disconnected. So as I'm making this YouTube video that's going out onto the ethers, I'm also hoping to speak with people more in person, and not just rely on the internet waves that are very fragile, because they can be very easily manipulated. Whereas seeing someone in the real world is a whole different game, Hope you like this video and this discussion, and that it inspires you in some way. And if you want to try and see the film, I'm going to put Hannah's email in the description. And if you're interested in Orphée Kashala, who curated the event, I'll also, I think I have his email somewhere. Contact them. The film also needs support, like financial support or government support, because I think this is the kind of work that governments should be pushing, especially governments that care about art, that care about sustainability, should be pushing these stories as examples in the world of how to do it. And so if you, for some reason, have any connections that want to support this film, or have an idea to support this film and to lead it to a place that it needs to be seen, and a place where it can have better and stronger impact on the world we live, try and reach out to them. Or reach out to me and I can reach out to them. Peace.